Well, hello everybody. Happy Friday. And thank you so much to all you beautiful people for hanging out with me today here on Era, as well as Solutions. It is so hot here. So when I look like I've just climbed out of bed, I actually haven't. I feel like, and Morna in the background is also there in Namibia. They have east winds, so it is. So, but we are going to be watching again who controls the future. So, hang out. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to see what you guys think about this. And yeah, ching freaking ching. Enjoy.
Bill Gates and his investments. By following the money, one gets to know a person. If I were to accept someone's advice, for instance in the area of vaccines, I would follow that person's money to see where he comes from. Does he have my best interests at heart? What does following the money tell us about Bill Gates? He has an interest in highly suspicious companies, a tendency to be drawn towards poison, and an absolute focus on depopulation.
First, we've got population. Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Let's face it, a man who openly promotes reducing the world population in order to save the planet, telling the world vaccines can help achieve this goal, then promotes the same vaccines to save lives? Really? Make up your mind, Bill. Do you want to save human lives, or do you want to destroy them? You can't have it both ways. Follow the money, and you will get to know the man behind it. We have seen GMOs, infected mosquitoes, tests on human guinea pigs in less developed countries, bioweapons, child trafficking and abuse on Epstein Island. Not a pretty picture, Bill. What else are you up to, The more we dove into the person Bill Gates, the more we were shocked and nauseated. Here are some more companies in which he heavily invested. They include many of the most criticized companies in the world for involvement in human rights abuses, labor abuses, environmental abuses, and tax avoidance. Big mining companies: Barrick Gold, BHP Billiton, Freeport McMoran, Glencore, Rio Tinto, Vedanta, and Vale, a Brazilian mining company that was voted with most contempt for the environment and human rights in the Public Eye Annual Awards. Agribusiness companies: Nestle, Unilever, Archer Daniels Midland, Kraft, Mondelez International, chemical and pharmaceutical corporations, some of which we already mentioned: BASF, Dow Chemicals, GlaxoSmithKline, Novartis, and Pfizer. beverage corporations: Coca-Cola, Diageo, PepsiCo, and SAB Miller. Construction companies: Caterpillar, which has long been accused of complicity in human rights abuses in the Palestinian-occupied territories. Defence contractors: BAE Systems, the UK's largest defence contractor and arms exporter. Excuse me? Arms? As in weapons? Bill? And we already briefly mentioned his oil-based fertilizers. Well, guess what? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Trust has a financial stake of $1.4 billion in fossil fuel companies such as BP and Anadarko Petroleum that was recently forced to pay a $5 billion environmental cleanup charge. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Trust has investments in 35 of the top 200 companies ranked by the carbon held in their reserves. These included coal giants Anglo American, BHP Billiton, Glencore Xstrata, and Peabody Energy, and the oil majors Shell, ConocoPhillips, Chevron, Total, and Petrobras. What about the human carbon footprint, Bill? Which part of sustainability don't you understand? Or does it only concern others, like the people, who subsequently have to pay new taxes, more taxes, anything to squeeze the life force out of them just a little bit more, while you enjoy your jet-set lifestyle on your yacht and your private plane? You know, Bill, you can try to fool us with your posture and your terrible choice of clothes and hair, but we see straight through you. Some people may still believe that you're a kind nerd, giving money away to charity, but more and more people see through you. Once you burst that nerdy bubble of yours, all that is left is a Rockefeller descendant who plays his puppet role in the Depopulation Agenda 21 and 2030. No body language with excessive hand gestures and nerdy glasses sticks. No fake smiles can ever fool those who are awake. And the number of awake people grows by the minute. Now, in case you think you know all there is to know, another marvel of a plan to spray millions of tons of dust into the stratosphere to stop global warming. I mean, seriously? Millions of tons of chalk are to be sprinkled up there to create a world-enveloping cloud that reflects sunlight away from us. A cloud to basically cause a worldwide solar eclipse for indefinite time. This insane plan is funded by Gates and pioneered by scientists at Harvard University. Even they admit, I hope we don't need it. It's a very scary technology. It's quite terrifying. But the world with severe climate change impacts can also be very scary. My, that's one hell of a slogan. The initial test that was supposed to take place over New Mexico is currently on hold, amid fears that it could trigger a disastrous series of chain reactions, creating climate havoc in the form of serious droughts and hurricanes. and bring death to millions of people around the world. One fear is that spreading dust into the stratosphere may damage the ozone layer that protects us from hazardous ultraviolet radiation that causes cancer. Climatologists are also concerned that the circulation of ocean currents that regulate our weather may be disrupted. This could unleash a global outbreak of events that might devastate farmland, wipe out entire species, and foster disease epidemics. I don't know what's worse, climate change or this plan. Obviously, Bill Gates is more interested in his technological experiments than in the safety of people. Oh, I almost forgot. He's into depopulating the planet. Well, what a marvelous side effect then, right, Bill? There's a few more things about Mr. Charity that we think you should know. In 2000, he set up Gavi, Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, now called Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Not just that, he sponsored Gavi with no less than $4.44 billion. In addition, he pledged another $1.6 billion for 2021 to 25. Gavi has the power to decide the price for vaccines, which is always way too high according to critics, such as Doctors Without Borders. Like we heard Gates say in the previous episode, he has a 20-to-1 return on investment when it comes to vaccines. He makes astronomical profits in times of need. What a guy. On the board of Gavi are 4 permanent positions filled with representatives from the WHO, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, UNICEF, and the World Bank. In 2018, Gavi donated $388 million to the WHO. Gates owns the Vaccine Alliance just like he owns the WHO. He is everywhere. He decides what happens within Gavi and which decisions are made. When Gates wants a global lockdown, there will be a global lockdown. If he wants a digital certificate to prove immunity, there will be a digital certificate to prove immunity. Mandatory. If he wants the entire world to be vaccinated, the entire world will be vaccinated. Mandatory. He is way more powerful than our presidents. Make no mistake. Is it Gates himself who is so powerful? Simply because he's a Rockefeller descendant? Or is he just a puppet on one of Warren Buffett's strings? Who knows? And does it really matter? What matters at this stage is that this evil empire is exposed to the world. Once the people know whom they're dealing with, do you think they'll still want their precious vaccine? In April 2020, President Trump announced stopping the financing of the WHO. Instead, he gave the money to Gavi. Many people were shocked by this action. How could he sponsor Big Pharma? Trump has always been openly opposed against the pharmaceutical industry. Did he try to gain influence in Gavi to temper Gates? Time will tell. The last thing we wish to share with you, before hitting the final nail into Gates' coffin, concerns the influence of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in global agriculture. A study performed by Green, published in November 2014, shows the shocking truth about the influence of the Gates Foundation in agriculture around the world. Do you still believe Mr. Gates is doing good in Africa? Do you know how much of his millions in grants for agriculture actually go to Africa? A lousy 5%. Do you know where all the money ends up? With the CJIAR. international organizations such as the World Bank, UN agencies, etc. AGRA, the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, set up by Gates himself. The African Agricultural Technology Foundation, the AATF, and hundreds of different research, development and policy organizations across the world. In Gates' world, it's all about R&D and policy. His money does not go to the African farmers, it goes to scientists, to laboratories. Gates' tools, AGRA and the AATF, make sure that the technologies that come rolling out of the labs get into the fields of the African farmers without them having a say in it. Not only that, as if it weren't bad enough, Gates' money for agriculture does not go to Africa, where it's badly needed. No, Gates wouldn't be Gates if he didn't favor the rich countries. By far the main recipient country is the US, followed by the UK, Germany, and the Netherlands. So, the Gates Foundation fights hunger in the South by giving money to the North. How the hell is that going to work? AGRA. When we hear Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, we think irrigation projects, clean water, green fields. Forget it. AGRA's and Gates' promise to double productivity and incomes by 2020 for 30 million small-scale farming households, while reducing food insecurity by half in 20 countries, has failed miserably. Why? Because that was never the aim. 15 years after Gates set up AGRA, together with the Rockefeller Foundation, the only one who has been reaping the benefits is Gates himself. The number of Africans suffering extreme hunger has increased by 30% to 131 million people in the 13 countries AGRA focuses on. The African biodiversity has been replaced by monoculture, mostly corn, and farmers who failed to switch to corn were fined by their governments. Crop diversity has been sacrificed in the name of technological advance. As a result, farmers have become more and more dependent on help from AGRA and their government to survive. Monocropping and the disappearance of nutrient crops such as agave and sweet potatoes have made the farmers most vulnerable to climate change and droughts. It has ruined their diet diversity and it has exhausted their land. AGRA's money went to African governments, which in turn gave subsidies to the farmers if they did exactly what AGRA and thus Bill Gates told them to do. Buy high-tech seeds and chemicals sold by US corporations, in which Gates has shares. The seeds are expensive hybrid seeds that the farmers have to buy each and every year. The chemicals are fossil fuel-based petrochemical fertilizers. What happened to Gates' big mouth about sustainability and saving the planet? The fertilizers are very expensive. Most farmers don't sell enough corn to earn those expenses back. One bad harvest, and they are all left with debts and despair. Monsanto and the other multinational seed companies are all there, benefiting from sales they would never have had without subsidies. Seed and fertilizer companies are the clear winners from these policies. By pushing his beloved technology down the throats of African farmers, Gates didn't exactly help them. He abused them and drove many to suicide. How hard is it to use your money to do truly good by listening to the people's needs for a change? How hard is it to treat them as intelligent and experienced fellow men instead of a bunch of retards who don't know what's good for them? How denigrating is that? Why aim for 80% of the population being vaccinated when everybody knows that diseases are spread by bad hygiene and polluted water? Why not simply provide clean water and proper hygiene? That would have been so much more effective and it wouldn't have cost so much money. Before we move on, let's redefine philanthropy once and for all, shall we? Robert Newman said it so well in an article in 2012. Philanthropy is the enemy of justice. The point is that poor people do not tend to ask for charity. They demand justice, which requires not so much money from the rich world as fundamental changes in the way the rich world operates, including ending tax havens, limiting the power of corporations, and changing neoliberal economics. Philanthropy is not pushing your agenda down other people's throats. It is not giving funds, means, or material to people who didn't ask for it. It is not overruling other people's way of life simply because you believe that your way of life is superior. Philanthropy is not making investments in order to make more money for yourself. Philanthropy is the opposite of what is described in Agenda 21 and 2030. It is not helping dictators stay in command so they can continue to control and suppress their people, to wage war upon them, to have their precious minerals stolen, and to keep them hungry and terrified. Philanthropy is not stealing other people's children and selling them as sex slaves. What is philanthropy? It is helping your fellow man. It is sharing simply because you care. It is giving to the poor, but only if they ask for it, and only in a way that is truly helpful and respectful for them, not for you. Philanthropy is giving, sharing from an unconditional starting point, not because you want something in return. Philanthropy comes from the heart, not from reason nor technology. It is giving, sharing, because you truly want to make this world a better place. Bill Gates has other priorities than doing good. He has spread his tentacles of power into every corner of the world. Do you think you've seen it all? Well, let me be quiet for a while so you can fully grasp the extent to which Gates is indeed omnipresent. Do you see the whole picture yet? Bill Gates controls the air you breathe, the food you eat, the water you drink, the healthcare you get. He controls your life from the cradle to the grave. Do you wish to see the final nail in his coffin? Then let's move along to part 12. We have spent 4 episodes on Bill Gates, our self-proclaimed philanthropist. You might ask yourself, could there possibly be any more evil coming out of this man's mind? The answer is yes. We discovered even more darkness to share with you. And we promise, after this episode, we are done with him and we will never mention his name again. Now, we briefly mentioned something big at the end of the previous episode. Gates' involvement in what we call gene drive technology, also referred to as extinction technology. We are literally talking technology to make entire species or races go extinct. According to researchers, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and DARPA are the world's largest funders of gene drive research. In short, gene drive organisms are created by genetically engineering a living organism with a particular trait and then modifying the organism's reproductive system in order to always force the modified gene onto future generations, spreading the trait throughout the entire population. In order to be able to do that, one has to cut DNA and enable genes to be inserted, replaced or deleted from DNA sequences. The research of this amazing technology started off in 2003, massively funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It wasn't until 2015 and many millions of dollars later when a breakthrough was reached and Bill Gates had his ticket to his mosquito ball, remember from part 9? Now, we have already shown the dangers of gene drive technology. Think of the disruption of entire ecosystems. But it goes further than that. Gene drives are classified as synthetic biology, an extreme form of genetic engineering. Synthetic biology has been a field of interest of both Bill Gates and the US military and many other militaries around the world. Both Gates and DARPA, plus a secretive group of military advisors known as the Jason Group, have been investing insane amounts of money into synthetic engineering. Now, bearing in mind the possibilities of using this technology to create bioweapons, gene drives might be a marvel of technology, but in the wrong hands, it can and will have disastrous outcome. Gates has made sure that the future of gene drive extinction technology is secured. He bankrolled the technology development, he shaped the narrative, he picked the policy negotiators, and even paid the lobbyists. Just to give you an idea of how powerful this man is, in early 2015, the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine announced that they would have a major inquiry into gene drives. The study did not explore just the science of gene drives, but also aimed to frame issues around policy, ethics, risk assessment, governance, and public engagement around gene drives. It was sponsored by DARPA and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation through the National Institutes of Health and the Foundation for the National Institutes of Health. Several panel members were recipients of Gates funds. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation also channeled money into the MIT Media Lab to promote gene drive technology. This media lab, by the way, came into the news when it was revealed it had received donations from none other than convicted child rapist Jeffrey Epstein. In 2019, the media lab got $2 million from Gates through Epstein. Funny how things always come back and bite you in the butt, right, Bill? Synthetic biology has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Investment firms estimate that the industry will be worth $85 billion by 2030. That's an awful lot of money. We're talking about an industry that creates synthetic ingredients for the food industry, medicines, and lab-grown food products. In other words, it creates something artificially that does not exist in the natural world. Now, once again, that can either be a blessing or a curse, depending on whose hands it ends up in. As we have seen, synthetic biology is all about changing DNA into the so-called perfect mode, which could be absolutely brilliant. It could mean the end of disease. Our DNA could be programmed to fight AIDS, for instance, or even hereditary diseases, such as autoimmune diseases or certain types of cancer. They could be eliminated for good. Can you imagine the absolutely wonderful breakthrough in medical science? However, in the wrong hands, it could be disastrous. First of all, it would be a very expensive way forward, meaning only the very rich people would be able to buy good health, good genes, while the ordinary people would have to wait for traditional medical treatment. Now, don't get me wrong, we are pro-advance, but when Bill Gates comes into the equation, we are highly alerted. As we have seen in previous episodes, Gates is a eugenics fanatic. The step from eugenics to synthetic biology is only a small one. Remember the Nazis and their efforts to create a pure race? Tall, athletic people with white skin, blonde hair and blue eyes? The Aryan race? Well, guess what? A new term has been coined for eugenics. Designer babies. We are not kidding you. When you have enough money, you can actually tell your synbio doctors what kind of baby you want to give birth to. Green eyes, dark skin, a boy or a girl, highly intelligent, a natural born leader. You name it, they will program it. A few cells in a petri dish, which will then be placed in your womb, or in an artificial womb, yet another marvel of technology from the Netherlands. We think you know by now that when Mr. Gates is involved, one has to be cautious. Be it vaccines, be it synthetic biology. When Gates promotes it and puts millions into it, something is off. Back to the food industry. Gates' latest investments include Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat, that make processed meat-like burgers from a synthetic biology-derived blood substitute. Sounds marvelous, doesn't it? I mean, we have been vegetarians for decades out of sheer love for animals, and we would welcome any new and tasty veggie burger. But from the hands of Bill Gates? Seriously? when a man who is an enthused depopulation advocate starts producing our food? Not a good thing. Let's have a closer look, shall we? After all, more and more viewers are concerned about the welfare of the planet and the animals that live on it. Beyond Meat was founded in 2009 in California, but the first burgers didn't hit the market until 2012. In less than 3 years, the company went straight to the stock market, where its shares exploded 840% during its first 3 months being listed. Investment firms said they had never seen anything like it. As of March 2021, Beyond Meat has a market value of $8.16 billion. For a bunch of veggie burgers? Really? Impossible Foods was founded in 2011, also in California. Its first burgers hit the market in 2016. Contrary to Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods is not on the stock market. It earns its fundings from venture capital funds and celebrity investors like Bill Gates. The company has brought in $1.4 billion. Its current value is estimated at $4 billion. As we were editing this episode, news arrived that Impossible Foods is ready to move forward to the stock market with an estimated value of $10 billion. Once again, for a bunch of veggie burgers? Well, it's not just veggie burgers. It's synthetic biology products. That's where the money is going. That's what a man like Bill Gates is so excited about. If he were truly thrilled about vegetarian food, he would have invested in companies like the Vegetarian Butcher or Corn, right? The truth is, Gates couldn't care less about the well-being of animals. He is into depopulation, eugenics, GMOs, and now synthetic biology. Why? So he can play God. Synthetic biology means redesigning life. New biological systems are created, systems that do not exist in nature. It is the extended version of genetic engineering. According to synthetic biologists, organisms created by means of synthetic biology would be considered new species, a complete biological system that could not have evolved from nature and would even have to be classified in a separate domain of life. Playing God. Like we said before, this can be a curse or a blessing, depending on who is the creator. A beautiful example of synbio is a bacterial system capable of avoiding the immune system, of sensing tumor cells, of invading and destroying them, and then self-destruct after a programmed time. Or how about this one? An alga that is capable of producing biofuels from carbon dioxide. Wonders of technological advance. But in the wrong hands? Take that same bacterial system we just mentioned. How about programming it to attack the immune system instead of cancer cells? Then let it self-destruct after a programmed time, and the cause of death will never be discovered through autopsy. For people like Bill Gates, synthetic biology is an absolute blessing. The term was well chosen. The word biology does wonders, like sustainability. It has a direct association with nature, green, eco, marvelous psychological effect. Whereas the word GMO is now connected to certain doubts concerning the health of people and planet. Furthermore, definitions of synthetic biology are still changing, and when it comes to, for instance, FDA approval, it's all about definitions. Right now, believe it or not, manufacturers of products that are based on synbio do not legally have to disclose this. They do not have to label their products GMO, as the definition of SynBio is slightly different, even though it is much more extreme than GMO. And that is exactly what we see with the products of Beyond Meat. Its founder, Ethan Brown, doesn't mention SynBio in interviews. It cannot be found on the company's website and/or its packaging. What's even worse, Beyond Meat states their products are GMO-free. SynBio'd, yes, but that does not have to be disclosed. How shall we call this? It's legal, all right, but only because of the flaws in the system. We would definitely call this consumer deceit. Now, the funny thing is, on its website, Beyond Meat doesn't even claim to be producing vegetarian or vegan products. They say their products are plant-based, but there's no mention of their products being suitable for vegetarians or vegans. At least not when we produce this episode. What about the products as they are sold in the shops? Beyond Meat put on some of its products the words vegan or vegetarian, but not on all. Far from it. From a marketing point of view, this strikes us as odd. It uses the icons for no GMOs, no soy or gluten, and kosher. The words plant-based sausage mean nothing. It can be based on plants, but still contain meat. So don't be fooled by the words plant-based. So, what is the main secret of Beyond Meat's bleeding burgers that they are so proud of? Red beet juice. Believe it or not, after years of developing vegetarian burgers by many other companies, nobody came up with the idea to use red beet juice to mimic the bleeding of meat? Are you kidding me? That's not exactly rocket science, is it? You want to know why it was never discovered before? Because it doesn't work. Try it. Red beet juice does not turn into a juicy burger taste when fried. It just doesn't have that bloody iron taste to it. Beyond Meat's secret is synthetic biology, and that has nothing to do with healthy veggie burgers. How about Impossible Foods? Their main secret is heme, genetically engineered soy leg hemoglobin. According to scientific advisor to Impossible Foods, Dr. Michael Eisen, in order to provide tasty alternatives to animal meat made from plants, you need lots of heme. And to get heme, you need genetic engineering. Impossible Foods makes this GMO heme by taking DNA from the root of soy plants, where a small amount of heme is produced, and inserted into genetically engineered yeast that is then fermented to mass-produce GMO heme. Well, at least they are honest about the GMOs, but mind you, this SynBio substance has never been consumed before. Nobody knows what the effects will be on body and mind after consuming certain quantities for a certain amount of time. On its website, Impossible Food doesn't claim to be producing vegetarian or vegan products either, just like Beyond Meat. They too only state that products are plant-based. The packaging of their products tell us they do not contain animal hormones or antibiotics. Excuse me? That is not quite the same as vegetarian or vegan, now is it? From a marketing point of view, the packaging seems cheap and not appealing at all. Not quite what one would expect from a multi-billion enterprise, right? Impossible Foods does show us the icon of bioengineered, which looks tempting as in eco and green, but don't be fooled. Remember this icon. No matter how good it looks, it means trouble. we advise you to stay away from it. We mean it when we say that we truly wanted these miracle burgers to be the real thing, but after careful consideration, we turned them down. They are not the vegetarian product people are looking for. They are GMO'd and synbio'd. And we tasted them. They taste like meat. Full-on juicy meat. Now, we don't know what's causing that, but we do not believe it's because of red beet juice or heme. Could it be the result of certain flavor enhancers? Did you know that some of the most powerful flavor enhancers are based on human embryonic kidney cells, the HEK293 cells? In other words, kidney cells taken from a human aborted baby? Ever heard of Cenomix? A biotech company from California, bought by Firmenich from Switzerland in 2018? The business that received $7.5 million from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? We know, too far-fetched, right? I mean, can you imagine? Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods containing fetus kidney cells to add the meat flavor? Without telling us? I mean, we know that a lot of products contain these human embryonic kidney 293 cells to increase their taste. But come on, fake veggie burgers? Nah, we're pretty sure that the fact that the location of the production facility of Impossible Foods in Oakland, California, being right across the street from Planned Parenthood, is just a creepy coincidence. Just like the fact that the production facility of Beyond Meat is only a few minutes' drive from 3 Planned Parenthood clinics. Just a creepy coincidence. Although, in 2018, Beyond Meat partnered up with Zandbergen, world's finest meat from the Netherlands. That's right, originally a butcher and now an importer of frozen meat from across the world. Zandbergen states it is proud to be working with Beyond Meat that has replaced meat protein by plant protein. Synthetic biology, all right. Creating new species, remember? Replacing meat protein by plant protein doesn't exactly make it vegetarian, now does it? Oh, and guess what? Beyond Meat's manufacturing facility in the Netherlands is only 7 minutes away from an abortion facility, the Emma Clinic, in the city of Enschede. Bearing in mind the Netherlands only has 15 abortion facilities, what are the odds? Gates now believes the wealthiest countries should switch to eating 100% synthetic beef in order to help combat climate change. Of course, climate change. If you can't blame it on COVID, blame it on climate change. Now the poor countries cannot afford synthetic meat, so they can continue eating real meat. But that will have to be GMO'd, of course. Bill Gates has taken over our food supply. He GMO'd our seeds, and now he is getting rid of the American beef industry. He is destroying farming and he's buying up farmland. This way, he will soon control every aspect of our food, how it is produced, what is put into it. Gates will do in the US and Europe what he has already done in Africa and India. He will force you to obey his rules and regulations. If you disobey, you will be fined, thrown in jail, and you will be refrained from food, the #1 necessity in life. Gates has found yet another way to subjugate us completely and utterly to his whims and wishes. Now, if that doesn't worry you, we don't know what will. Well, maybe this will. All current COVID vaccines are the result of synthetic biology. All of them. They have not been tested. They are not approved. They are referred to as GRAS, generally recognized as safe, which means absolutely nothing. And they are in an experimental phase until 2023. Let that sink in. You are part of a massive medical experiment. By injecting a synbio product into your body, you could be changed into one of Gates' products, a synbioed, genetically modified product. After everything we have shown you in the previous episodes about Bill Gates, exactly how safe does that make you feel? Now, during the very first seconds of this episode, we promised you that this would be the last one about Gates. And that was truly our intention. I mean, we are so fed up with him, you have no idea. But as we are approaching the critical half hour, we're afraid there's just a few more things about him that will put things into perspective in a way you've probably not seen before. Bear with us and move along to part 13.
Okay. Wow. Wow. What? So those of us who've been watching Jesse for a while, we will know that so I would say that's we've got to start. I would 5 or 10 years ago, I would have agreed with you on that. Yeah, I'm on Gates of Hell. I would have agreed with you on that, but from what we know now, the objective: dehumanize, depopulate the human population, and of course, done in whichever way they can. Money is, of course, no object to them. They play with things. You see how much money he makes in a day. I mean, that's stuff you and I retire on, plus our families, right? So let no one tell you that money stops them. It doesn't. Anyway, what I was saying, the synthetic, the synthetic biology, involved for sure, but definitely this is where we're going to have in our food. The crushed smaller, that on social media, Tammy, as well as how to make your own skincare product in your garden. I mean, that's actually quite a while now, and I just think that is way to go. I'm going to start doing that soon. So just to minimize, minimize, and even if you start growing a few tomorrow, and we have got to start becoming more self-sufficient when it comes to this sort of thing. I've been saying this for a while, and it's so important that we do. And when we look at those seeds as well. I mean, if there's anything that really, because that really, really burns my butt. It's the fact that they have now pretty much, you can't get, you have to look very, very hard. All of these seeds are GMO, and thousands of in India a couple of years back. Same here, same here. Anyway, guys, is plant your own food. Get your chickens, let them start laying your eggs. If you're in a position to get a cow, milk your cow. Really, we do need to do stuff like this. Anyway, I use tallow, not seed oils. Well, I don't like tallow because it comes from an animal. I try my best not to use animal products. To me, it doesn't matter how, and I'm not judging, that's just my opinion, okay? Doesn't matter how clean tallow is compared to the rest of animal products. It comes from an animal, and I do not want to use it. So there are certain seed oils like coconut oil, cod oil, olive oil. Those are pretty much the only oils I use. But I'm going to start doing little things like that. And yeah, you're right, studying things. It's exactly it. But then we look at how and that's actually the other thing I wanted to say. I kept looking on my notes, so I'd written it, so thanks for the reminder. Epstein is like Prince Andrew is the fall guy, and I'm not saying Epstein was important. Many limbs and appendages that go on along this, what was Leo Zagami calling it, the Franken monster, right? It's the same thing with Bill Gates. This lady who is doing this show, the documentary, Bill Gates. Bill Gates is but a puppet of the system. He was put in charge of that by the system. He was chosen for that role by the system as a child, no doubt. He obviously had that aptitude and mentality that was scientifically minded, or whatever it was he's supposed to be doing. And they put him there as, a Rockefeller puppet, Rothschild puppet. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think Bill Gates is a Rothschild. I heard that. I don't know. They all belong to families. Anyway, so, no matter what they tell us in mainstream media. And another thing, for those of you who don't know, if you watch our earlier shows with Jesse as well, the kids that are transported, the small humans that are transported, of course, they get used for abuse, sexual abuse first and foremost, then organ harvesting. They make millions. I do believe a couple of years back, Jesse said one child is worth $1 million when you disassemble them like that. So, it's a huge, huge, huge market out there. And then, of course, what they do is they crush the remains, which is why we don't find the remains of these children. They are crushed and they then put into our food, and they get mixed into the cement, and these Freemason temples are being built with these remains. And of course, made into diamonds as well, from what we're hearing. And then we're wondering about all these fake diamonds and things now, these synthetic diamonds that are being created. Let's ask where that's coming from, and in as much as what the synthetic biology, synthetic meat, we ask where that's coming from. Ish, I would know that stop. Okay, guys, take good care of your beautiful selves. Yes, I agree. Palm oil is the worst. Oh, and always remember, if you're using oil, much as virgin, the structure of the oils is there, and it's once processed, so it's still intact, much better than other one that's gone through the mill 3 or 4 times, and does a much better job as well. So it's always good to go for the organic extra virgin. Let's hope we can trust that that's what it is, right? Yeah, you're right, Janice. Things that make you go, ooh, do want that? No, thank you. Anyway, guys, I am gonna love and leave you. I'm actually talking to Penny Bradley later. Unfortunately, we're not doing a live show tonight, but watch the schedule. You never know. I could pop her up on the weekend sometime. Penny Bradley's Secret Space Program survivor. She was also the pilot of the Nachtwaffen, which is one of these secret space program, spaceship kind of things that she was flying when she was in the project, if you will. Yeah, it was a sick world, but we're going to make this world better. That's why we do what we do. Yeah, we make it better. Okay, guys, take good care of yourselves. Be cool, be kind, and have a fantastic weekend. God bless you all. See you.